Hello. Hello, this is the My Artifact episode number 3827. Today's date is January 21, maybe. Yeah, January 19, 2026. It's been almost like a morning at almost like 9:38 p.m. a.m. 9:38 a.m. All right. Last night I have a kind of like a business idea. I got a business idea. I'm not really sure about this thing. Is it business idea or not? It's kind of like a very much confusing to me. Okay, so what is actually that business idea? Okay, is this thing that key a book rental service? Like I'm gonna tell you first of all problem and how exactly my services kind of like going to solve that problem. So basically, we have books at our home, and our books are kind of like a assembly. 90% of their life are actually kind of like a stay in the bookshelf. Okay, yeah. Like whenever we read the book, after we read the book, that book is actually on the shelf. That's it. It does not go anywhere, nothing at all, and things and that and that. What if that book will kind of like assembly give you some sort of kind of like a revenue and things like that? Example, rent. Like basically, you read the book, then you rent the book. When you rent the book, you not only get the money, but you will kind of like somebody that adding a value, like because of that that book is always going to add value to the people, so you will get the revenue, not the revenue by kind of like you are renting your book. Okay, yeah. And people will kind of like the people who wanted to read the book, they will kind of like things. I am a service provider who I am a kind of like a service providing a kind of like somebody from owner to personal particular person wanted to read the book. So I am the middleman, a kind of like a connection between those things. So this is kind of like a simply my this is kind of like a simply my platform. Okay, yeah, book rental service. Okay, so another thing is that ki, um, how do I supposed to execute this idea? How do I supposed to execute this thing? Before I want to talk about everything, if I wanted to execute any kind of like a simply this thing, first of all, I have a lot of like I'm not really sure that ki, is it kind of like a something like that ki, I should supposed to do it or not. Because why is that thing? Because of that ki, I do have a lot of stuff to do. Like basically is this thing that ki, I am doing YouTube, by the way. Okay, yeah. I am kind of like uploading my content on daily basis, and I am kind of like a something stuck with that thing for almost like a last 5 year and things and that and that. And I think that na ki YouTube is a kind of like a one thing that it will gonna add a growth and things and that one thing. Another thing is that ki after the YouTube is not the only thing that I want. I also wanted to um, um, also wanted to develop the artifact too. Artifact is also kind of like a business model. Okay, yeah. Is that the stuff that I'm kind of like a doing, like a recording artifact? Exactly that. It's a kind of like a social media platform and things and that. I already mentioned regarding about what is exactly artifact. You have to check out this thing stuff. Okay. Now this book rental service. Okay, yeah. So is it like a kind of like a somebody is this thing that key idea will kind of like a work or not? Well, every idea is not good idea or every idea is not bad idea. Uh, the good idea is actually became when your execution is really good, and when your bad idea became when your execution is really wrong. So it is really essential to be that key your execution should supposed to be right or should supposed to be great. So what is actually my execution process? How do I supposed to execute this thing particular stuff? Okay, so let's just figure it out. Okay, so let's just say there is a particular guy, let's just say owner A, who has a book, let's just say 10 book. Okay, yeah. And he wanted to rent that book. Okay, yeah. So that particular person came to me, say this thing that this is the book that I wanted to rent. Okay, so what exactly is this thing that I would kind of like a take the book and kind of like a deliver to the people who wanted to read the book and things like that. Also, in this particular scenario, there are two different kind of like assembly prices are actually involved. First of all is that the owner, okay, yeah, the owner of the book should supposed to be get little bit amount of cut. Okay, one thing, because this is the kind of like a main point now, like why does owner will kind of like rent the book? Okay, yeah, he wanted to earn some from amount of money, right? So basically is this thing, he wanted to earn some sort of amount of money from this book. Okay, yeah. As well as is this thing, that person who wanted to read the book, I will kind of like offer that book in a kind of like a weekly for in 20 rupees. Like basically that particular person, like a B person wanted to read the book, that particular person give me 20 rupees, and I will kind of like offer the book for a week, and that particular person will kind of like read the book. If he not read the book, then probably he will kind of like extend, he will kind of like give me another 20 rupees, and that book will kind of like stay on his place for another week. Okay, yeah. And this is what it is. When he read the book, then he kind of like return me that book. Okay, yeah. So the person who wanted to read the book, he will not gonna kind of like buy the entire price of the book and things like that. He will kind of like he will kind of like simply rent the book in very cheap price, read the book, and that's it, and he will kind of like return to me. So which is kind of like a really good. Okay, yeah. As well as when I got the book written, I kind of like simply rent that book to the another person, and same cycle will gonna happen. So I'm the kind of like utilizing the book as a kind of like some asset, that kind of like somebody one person rent, then after that another person, then after that another person, then after that another person. So these are kind of like a cycle will gonna happen. Now regarding about the owner, okay, yeah, owner will get kind of like a some sort of amount of cut. Okay, yeah. But there is a one thing. Okay, yeah. The particular person who actually own the book, he doesn't really own the book, he actually own the copy of the book. Actually the book owner is the author of the book. Okay, yeah. So what exactly is this thing na ki, instead of kind of like what exactly is this thing, that from the owner I will kind of like simply tell him that ki, you will not gonna earn money more than the price of the book. Imagine is this thing, let's just say there is a book price is almost like 1,000 rupees. Okay, yeah. So the owner of the book will not gonna earn money more than 1,000 rupees. He will gonna earn at least like a maybe 800 or 700 rupees. Okay, that's it. Okay, he will not gonna earn that much more than that, because there is no sense at all, because he does not own the book. Okay, he just kind of like own the copy of the book. Okay, yeah, he is not. So it's not really kind of like a feasible. So in this particular period of time, what I think is that instead of kind of like somebody doing this hassle and things and that, I will kind of like somebody buy the book from him. Okay, so what exactly is this thing? How do I supposed to execute that particular stuff? So if the particular person wanted to kind of like simply wanted to rent the book, he has a 10 book. Okay, yeah. Now he has a 10 book and he wanted to rent the book. I will kind of like I went to his place and kind of like say this thing. This is the 10 book that I wanted to kind of like rent. I will kind of like simply figure it out the price and things and that. Let's just take an example that the entire price of all the 10 book will be kind of like considered as a 5,000 rupees. Okay, 5,000 rupees. That means like that particular owner will kind of like spend almost like a 5,000 rupees cash to buy this book. Okay, yeah. Now basically it's this thing that instead of this renting hassle and things and that, why would that owner would kind of like face that hassle and things like that? Instead of that, give me this book. Okay, like basically it's this thing, I will be kind of like a only owner. So what exactly is this thing, that what I kind of like pitch the idea is that this is the kind of like a only book, this is the actual price. Okay, yeah, and this is the renting price. Okay, instead of you are kind of like somebody hassle on the rental and things and that, would you kind of like somebody sell me this book entirely, and I will kind of like give the money upfront, and you will not gonna worry about anything at all. Okay, so imagine is this thing, the particular person will kind of like somebody spend almost like a 5,000 rupees for his 10 book. Okay, yeah, I would kind of like buy the entire collection of 10 book in just half of the price. Okay, yeah. If he wanted to kind of like somebody do the renting service, then he will kind of like earn more. Let's just say that he maybe 3,000 or maybe 3,500 or maybe 4,000 probably. Okay, yeah. But if he doesn't, but that take time, like it depends on kind of like somebody time that the people will kind of like rent the book or not, or things and that, it depends on that particular time, and it kind of like create a hassle and things like that. So instead of that, okay, yeah, if you can't wait, like most of the owner can't really wait and things like that, they want money upfront. So basically I'm kind of like offering them upfront money, okay, in half of the price. Okay, yeah. So 5,000 rupees, so I will kind of like pay them 2,500 rupees. Now that all 10 books are actually mine. You are not hassle free, nothing at all. Fine, you're done. Okay, the owner will kind of like done and things like that. Now another thing is that I will not kind of like accept any kind of like a book. I will kind of like look at the book regarding about that which book is kind of like a trending, which book is kind of like people wanted to read and things and that. Okay, I have to understand thing. I will not gonna buy a kind of like such a book that people don't really wanted to read and things like that. Okay, even if that owner wanted to sell this book in free and things, I will not gonna take this thing, because it kind of like a so literally hassle from me, because book is kind of like a create another weight and things and that and that. And another thing is the shipping cost. Okay, yeah. So it is kind of like a really essential me to kind of like somebody take such a book that is kind of like a matter to me, or matter to the kind of like that book should supposed to be rent. Okay, yeah. So I will gonna take those kind of like some essential book that should supposed to be rent. I will kind of like take the half of the price. So I am the owner of the book. Okay, I am the owner of the book, and I will kind of like somebody rent this book for forever till the kind of like till the life of the book. Okay, maybe one time, two time, three time, four time, like whatever it is. Each time it rent, person will kind of like spend 10 rupees, 20 rupees for the renting, and they will kind of like read the book for a week. If they're not week, they will kind of like extend that period of time, and they will kind of like give me 20 rupees again and extend period of time. They will complete the book, they will kind of like return the book for me. Okay, now this is kind of like a very simple scenario and things like that, but there is also another problem is this thing actually happen. Okay, another thing is that key shipping cost. Okay, like basically this thing now, I am not thinking about that key my book should supposed to be go from one corner of the country to another corner of the country. It's not. I'm thinking about that a cluster. Okay, what's a cluster? A cluster means like I'm actually living in Wardha city. Okay, yeah. So Wardha city has a people, so it is a Wardha cluster. Okay, so book will not gonna rotate cross the city. No, it will gonna rotate within the city. It will not gonna kind of like a rotate to Nagpur and things and that and that. It will not. The book will kind of like a rotate within the cluster and things like that. Okay, like basically within the city to city. Okay, it will not gonna go into the kind of like simply another city and things like that, because if the book actually went to the another city, then shipping cost will gonna happen. If the shipping cost will gonna happen, then it's not really feasible for me and things like that, because shipping cost, like let's just say 20 rupees and 30 rupees, 50 rupees, somewhat something. And another thing is that it's very hassle and things like that. And another thing, I will not gonna get that much profit. So it is really essential me to kind of like somebody do this business in cluster to cluster, like basically in within the cluster. Okay, yeah. So if this thing happened, like basically one person from the city who kind of like read the book, kind of like he gave me kind of like 10 books. I will kind of like rent this book. The people who wanted to read this book, he will kind of like give me 20 rupees. I delivered that book to that particular person. Okay, yeah. I'm gonna make sure that particular person is actually live in this city, things like that. He shouldn't supposed to be live in kind of like another city or things and things like that. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna make sure that thing, and I will kind of like give the kind of like only book. He will kind of like give the 10 rupees, 20 rupees and things like that. Okay, yeah. How much profit margin do I have? Well, if I'm thinking about that, it is too much profit margin do I have. Like basically is this thing na ki, like what kind of like only money do I kind of like spending? Probably nothing really at all. But there is a one thing that really required a trust. Oh yeah, because let me tell you one thing na ki, like in the kind of like, if I'm gonna say, if I kind of like make the app and people will kind of like go and kind of like rent the book and things and that, it's not really practical. At the beginning level, I should supposed to be kind of like execute this idea in by selling the things. Okay, so what exactly I'm thinking. So if I have a 10 book, then how do I supposed to execute this idea? How do I supposed to sell this book? How do I supposed to rent this book? So first of all is that my target audience are such a people who are kind of like a bit more educated, bit more kind of like simply little bit of Gen Z or medieval Gen Z and things like that. Why is that? Because for them 20 rupees or 30 rupees is not really that much. Okay, yeah, they kind of like spend 10 rupees and 20 rupees very easily on the book. They will really happy to kind of like spend almost like 10-20 rupees for a week for the book. Okay, yeah, I will kind of like target that. Why you are targeting those people? Because I think it's a bit more convenient for me at the moment. At the moment means at the beginning of the moment. In the future, I might gonna execute this for the like a bigger criteria and things like that. But lately, I'm actually focused on the Gen Z people. Okay, yeah. Now, how do I supposed to sell? Tell me the practical point of perspective. Okay, so I have a 10 book in my bag. I went to kind of like a simply the Domino's, or may went to kind of like a simply like a trends or things like that. These are the kind of like a hotspot where kind of like a rich people actually came. I will not gonna go Domino's to eat anything, no nothing at all. Okay, yeah. there are so many couples over there too. Okay, and mostly they are went to the Domino's, so probably they are kind of like a bit more have that much amount of money, so that they're willing to spend almost like a 20 rupees to rent the book and things like that. So what I supposed to do is that I'll kind of go and say this thing, hi, hello. This is the kind of like simply my communication and conversation skills are really much matter, because I have to sell the book. Okay, yeah, I know that people will gonna buy. It is really essential me to kind of like how do I supposed to sell the book. So basically, I'm gonna say hi, hello. May I sit here? Yeah. Sorry, I'm kind of like simply very confusing. Hi, I'm Saurabh. Hi. I just wanted to talk a little bit. Can I sit here? Yeah. Okay, sir. Do you read a book? Yeah, really, not really that much. Okay, what if I'm not gonna take too much amount of time off here. I know you are kind of like a busy and things like that. But what if I'm gonna tell you is this thing that key, if you want to read a book, instead of kind of like a buying the full price of the book, you will kind of like a rent the book. Okay, yeah. Like possibly is this thing that this is the kind of like Atomic Habit. This is the book that I have. You can kind of like only rent this book in 20 rupees for a week. And you will not gonna hassle to kind of like complete the book and things like that. If you are kind of like read the book, that is okay. If you didn't read, you have to return. And 20 rupees is not really that much that you could supposed to be kind of like somebody that invest in things like that. So what says, like I don't know, I'm kind of like doing the startup regarding about this book renting service, and I think that now you are the kind of like one of the first kind of like a people that I'm trying to interact with it. Okay, so would you like, it's not really that much, okay, probably. Okay, I want to read the book. Yeah, what kind of a catalog do you have? Okay, at the moment I don't really have that much catalog. I have just 10 books. This is the kind of like a list that you have, and you have to pay like a 20 rupees. This book is kind of like a bit more expensive. It's kind of like a 30 rupees, but yeah. Okay, I have a question that if I read the book and if I didn't return the book, then what? Well, it's not that thing. Okay, yeah, like basically this thing, when you rent the book, I will have your number now. So I will gonna call you person that sir, you have a thing, and possibly is this thing now, you are not that kind of like a particular person will kind of like not gonna kind of like take the book and things like that. Okay, yeah, like basically you are thinking a really nice person. It's not really that you will kind of like some things. Okay, yeah, and it's a renting thing, na, right? You just kind of like somebody, yeah. Okay, and if I didn't really complete the book within a week, then you have to extend this limit. Like basically this thing, if you wanted to use this book another week, then you have to give me another 20 rupees. Then that book will kind of like stay with you for another week and it will be good. Okay, yeah. Yeah, I wanted to read the book, and basically is this in 20 rupees is not really that much. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, is it's not really that much big thing that you have to spend 20 rupees. What do you say, ma'am? It's kind of like there are a couple of kind of like some books that I wanted to recommend, that probably these are kind of like some very thriller film. It's about the romantic and things like that, ma'am. If you are love this book, it's really good. Like it's a kind of like somebody book is actually about the kind of like somebody the love stories and the fiction and things like that. It's really good. I recommend you to read the book and things like that. If you are not convinced the book, then you have to return it. It's 20 rupees is not really that much big deal for you. Probably like basically we are at the Domino's, you are spending almost like a 500 rupees on this pizza. Probably 20 rupees of this book is not really that much big, and it kind of like adds something value in you. Probably I'm not really sure. I'm not, yeah. So what do you say? Yeah, it worked. That's good. So which kind of like a book? Atomic Habit. 20 rupees. Yeah, ma'am. Yeah, that friction. Okay, that's good. It's 20 plus 20, 30. That's 50 rupees. Okay, yeah. You have QR code? Yeah, I have QR code. Yes. Yeah. Okay, sir. There is one thing that I wanted to ask. Okay, I wrote your number. Okay, I have your number and things like that. Okay, like you wanted to part of my services. Like basically, you have a kind of a couple of books at your home. Okay, yeah. So will you kind of like rent this book? Like basically, you will kind of earn side income from this book. Okay, yeah. Possibly this thing, that book is kind of like at your bookshelf and for no reason, you are not earning any money, nothing really at all. If you kind of like give this money to me, if you kind of like give this book to me, I will kind of like simply make sure that book kind of like utilized for right purposes. I will kind of like send this book for the people who are willing to kind of like communicate and things like that. So do you have any kind of like books? Yeah, I have it, ma'am. Do you have it? Yes, we have. um, uh, I wanted to talk you about this book and things like that. Uh, when will I come? Like basically, this thing that ki I'm wanting to examine the book that you have. The condition is really good or not, or things and that and that. Okay, yeah. So sorry, I'm kind of like somebody taking a lot of times and kind of like somebody doing things. Are you like? Am I? Yeah. Yeah, sure. Okay, so what is at least this thing that if you wanted to kind of like somebody sell me book, okay, yeah, or kind of like somebody rent his, like basically is this thing that what you have to do is that go to your home and kind of like somebody take a photo of your book and kind of like send that photos to me. Okay, yeah, ma'am, you do the same thing. Okay, yeah, because I just have to understand the price and things and that and that. Okay, yeah. Then tomorrow I will gonna come to you. Obviously, I will gonna call, and then we will kind of like make the deal and things like that. Okay, what say? It's good. It's good. Yeah, it's good. Well, thank you, ma'am. I will gonna call you and things like that tomorrow probably. Okay, yeah. I'm sorry about this thing, but this is a kind of like only one of the first time I'm kind of like interact with you and it feel really good. This is the two books that I. Okay, this is your Atomic Habit. This is your book. Thank you for listening. I call you tomorrow. What's your name? Akshay. Hello, Akshay. Nice. I'm Saurabh, by the way. What's your name? Sakshi. Hello, Sakshi. I will call you tomorrow and things will figure it out tomorrow. Right? Yeah. Thanks for your time, by the way. Yeah. So if I execute this kind of like somebody things, that particular person will not become just my customer. It also became my kind of like somebody is this thing that that particular person will not gonna take the book from me. It also kind of like a thing is I will also take the book from him too. Okay, yeah. And another thing is that if that particular person are kind of like somebody spend 20 rupees to buy rent the book from me. Okay, yeah. So what is that? I also convince that another person to buy another book. Okay, yeah. So probably it's kind of like a far more convincing. Like let's just imagine that this is a kind of like a guy I call. Hello. Yeah. Hello, Akshay. Do you read the book? Yeah. Okay. Listen. Is this thing that yeah. Basically, is this thing the week is actually happened. So I have to kind of like ask you to return the book. Yeah. Yeah. Sure. Okay. Listen, Akshay. Do you like the book? Yeah, definitely. Okay. Listen. Is this thing that like basically is this thing that I have another book. Okay. Yeah. And if you want, I will kind of like push you to read that book. It's just 20 rupees. It's not really that much probably. Okay, yeah. And it's not kind of like a literally hassle to kind of like complete the book and things like that. You just it's kind of like definitely gonna add value and things like that. Okay. So what say? What is that book? The book is like a XYZ book. Okay, and it's kind of like about the kind of like some self help and things like that. It's a really great book, by the way. I personally I read the book and it was really good. So, so should I? Yeah, it's good. Okay, thanks, Akshay. Okay, I will come at your home at maybe like within an hour. Okay, I will gonna definitely go on when I will arrive, and I will kind of like somebody wire you this new book. Okay, and I will kind of like take that, like basically this thing previous book. Okay, which is good. Good, yeah. Thank you, Akshay. And also, is this thing that it's kind of like going to be really helpful for me to kind of like somebody talk with these services. Like basically, I'm kind of like I'm kind of like doing this startup and things like that. So basically, there are a lot of your friends are actually available. They wanted to read the book and things like that. So obviously, talk like basically just I don't know, just be kind of like somebody give the words of mouth probably. Like it kind of like really helped me a lot. Am I asking too much? I'm sorry, Akshay. No, it's good. Yeah, I will gonna say this thing. Thank you. If you recommend this thing, it will be kind of like a really helpful moment. Yeah. Thank you, Akshay. Yeah. If I do this thing, dude, it is really good. Okay, yeah. Like basically, I am not kind of like somebody taking a lot of losses, nothing at all. The book is mine. Okay, yeah. Like basically, I am the taking from the book from the owner in half of the price. Okay, so book is actually mine. I am kind of like renting the book again and again. So basically, that 20 rupees is always on the week. Every week, I'm kind of like getting the kind of like some significant amount of money and things like that. Not significant amount of money, like just say 20 rupees. And basically, this is I will have a kind of like customer support and things. I will have a kind of like a talk with the customer and things like that. So it will be really good. Like basically, that 10 book will kind of like somebody I rent this book again and again, which kind of like really help me. And the people who kind of like are getting this book, they are not kind of like that much hassle. They are not kind of like somebody eager to complete this book and things like that, because they spend almost like 20 rupees. It's not like that much, right? So yeah, right. But first of all, at the beginning, I have to be kind of like a do this thing in a kind of like a somebody in my city level. There are so many things that I have to figure it out. It's not that easy as it is, okay, yeah, because there is a lot of back-end structure and things like that. Today I will kind of like a talk to my friend Prashik regarding about this particular stuff, regarding about this business idea. I'm not really sure he convinced or not. If he convinced, then probably it will gonna add a little bit help. If he not convinced, then that is also okay too. I also figured it out by myself. By the way, last night I kind of like assembly bought 2 books, okay, yeah, Atomic Habit and The Psychology of the Money. And these are very trending books, by the way, and which cost very less. Like probably I was not really expecting. It was kind of like only 175 rupees, which is kind of like a very less price for this book. And basically, my first target is that, yeah, I have to be sell this book, okay, yeah, just 2 book. If I sell this book, if I kind of like somebody rent this book, it will be really good. Just yeah, at the beginning. I'm not really sure in the future what we're gonna do, but at the beginning I might gonna do that. I'm actually thinking about a lot of stuff, like if I kind of like make the app, or kind of like something that I'm not really sure. I just need to understand that do I have that capability or things like that. But there is another thing that will able to execute. I think that it is like basically this thing. YouTube is a kind of like going really well. It's not really that much, okay, yeah. But Artifact is a kind of like a very higher stone, okay, and I cannot able to achieve that Artifact as much as easy. I need the base support and things like that. And I think that now book rental service would be really good. If I execute this idea, it will be really great, okay, yeah. I am really good at communication, or maybe I am not. Like I don't really have that much practice, but I will gonna talk that much. How much hard? Like what if the worst thing will gonna happen? They will gonna say no. That is okay. Yeah, I will went to another person. It's not really that it's a bad thing, and it's not really that I'm kind of like doing wrong. I'm kind of like renting the book in the city to city. It's not really that kind of my book is actually going in another corner of the country. It's not. कर दे यार, yeah, let's figure it out, let's cut to it. All right, this is it. Thank you.